Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. So today, as always, our tutorials are divided into two parts, drawing and coloring. And you can always skip through the drawing parts and go through the coloring, but don't forget that the most of the classes you take, they mostly skip the drawing and only show you the techniques and coloring parts. So if you want to learn the freehand drawing techniques, this is the course for you. And let's start going through the drawing parts. We have started with our Polychromos 180, the raw umber. Also, again, as always, you can find the downloadable features, resources, and get access to this portrait outline to practice from. Look at the hand, and where we are actually pointing at are all where the facial features should be positioned right now. Obviously, first we should draw the main shape of the face with our pencil. This is a portrait that has angle, so we need to determine where, and that is how our lines should be placed. So this is where the eyes will be. We have already completed the nose, the eyes. Now work on the hairlines. From here, we are going to start drawing the hair a little, because one of the important aspects, the feature of this character drawing and coloring would be her hair. The important thing we are doing, we always try to have our own style and go through with it. Have a look how we are moving our pencil. If you look at the reference, which it is available for you on your downloadable resources, you will be able to compare how our main model looks like and how we are going to color it in a very more stylish, more unique way. Make sure that the very foundation of your drawing being done correctly. That's why we spend some time, and I don't want to go through this with more speed. So let's look at it with real time. We are almost done with this part. Just more main outlines of the hair strokes. Obviously, after the hair, we need to work on the facial features and make sure they have been drawn really precisely, because a little different from our model, even though we are not doing a hyper realistic drawing. However, as a realistic drawing, you need to make sure all the facial features are being placed in the correct way. And until they have been corrected, we cannot move on to the coloring part. And you have to make that a rule for yourself in the future. Whenever you start something, you give yourself enough time to start to do coloring with it. So with our cinnamon color, if you have watched the previous tutorials, you know cinnamon is one of my favorite colors. It's perfect either for first layer or blending. See how we are going to correct the face with it. So why we like using cinnamon color so much? Because it's an amazing color you can use instead of pink color, and also it goes way better with raw umber, a great combination with each other. In the meantime, you can see our reference on the left side how the nose which we are working right now should looks like. Look at the circle wise. We are going to draw the tip of the nose, then the wings, then slowly I have sized up the rest of the top part of the nose, the bone side for you. Now we are going through the lips. Again, you need to keep looking at your reference. It's very important to know the details where everything exactly should be placed. Keep comparing the drawing with the picture if you need to, and pause the screen whenever you need to look at the reference more. So continuing with the lips drawing here, it is very important to go back and forth within your outlines and make sure they are accurate before moving on. While we are working on the lips, I need to make sure that you understand the nose shape that needed to be towards up, and also going through the lips. I'll take my time to look at all the outlines and the sizes. After that, drawing eye details, we are going to draw more details here with raw umber. As I mentioned, we are going to mix raw umber and cinnamon for now for the eye drawing point. I believe it's good to look at the reference again to do more comparison. Since we are looking at the model on the left side, let's keep it there so we can compare the drawing parts and also the reference every now and then. It is always okay and alright to erase and redraw as much as you need. There is no saying we shouldn't do that. So be confident and make sure your drawings they're all correct, even if you must to redo it as many times as you need to. We have finished the eyes details such as the iris, the pupil, the highlights, going through the eyebrows. It's very important to make sure where are the main outlines on the portrait, because later on when you shade, if the outlines they are incorrect, even if your color techniques they are perfect, your drawing is not gonna come out as you hope for. We keep correcting the outlines. It's getting close to the drawing reference, the main outline, I mean. Looking at the reference one more to make sure everything's okay. This part I'm not speeding up because it's very important you see how I correct the drawn outlines, how many times I go back and forth and then see, okay, do I need to correct them again? I'm using cinnamon if you have noticed, so I go back and forth from these two colors. making sure all the outlines they have been drawn in a delicate and less visible way in order to start the coloring part. We are almost done. As I mentioned, we are almost done with this area as well. Just a little texture the wrinkles of the lips and go around it. And we are done. So after that, let's use our black pencil, Polychromos black pencil. After we completed the lips part, we are going to go through the eye, the basic colors with black. You can see on the left side on our reference model how the eyes looks like. It has the eyelashes line is completely black. When it comes to realistic, hyper-realistic drawing, we never use black at the very beginning. However, if you want to go into very slow, like slower techniques and more hyper-realistic, we do have courses for those, especially in color techniques. So do check our courses out, please, to see if any of those techniques matches your preference. This is why our drawings needs to be completely accurate, because if you draw the iris with black, it will be extremely hard to go back and erase it. It is possible, but the black trace will stay on your paper. Now the eyelashes. The curviness and the direction of the eyelash is very important. I have prepared the pencils that I'm going to use for this model. However, the amount of some of the colors is too many. There are too many of them. It doesn't mean you don't have to have all of them. You can draw the hair with only 1 to maximum 3 colors. But since we are doing a very different style of drawing and I'm adding a lot of colors to the hair, so it is okay that you use the amount of colors that you have and you want to. So there is no definite saying this amount of colors you need to use. The certain colors that you will need, I will tell you, for instance, cinnamon or any colors that close to cinnamon and the raw umber that we use. Instead of black, you can use a dark brown as well. We are going through the outline of the iris and make sure the outline stands out. Either use brown ochre or raw umber for this area. This is olive green yellowish color. Again, you can use raw umber or brown ochre for here and continue using it and combining it with another green. It doesn't have to be exactly this green. So don't limit yourself to if you didn't have enough colors, please do not limit yourself and keep drawing and coloring and practice your techniques. And of course, don't forget to send me your practices. To explain more a little why we use green, we are using a greenish color because it will go well with ochre and creates a really good contrast with black as well. We are going to use Bistre color 179 for the eyebrows. If you don't have it, you can use another brownish color. combination of like raw umber and burnt umber would be okay as well. Or any light and darker brown colors. Still never forget to use circular hand movement, and the very first initial layer should be done lightly. Even though this is Venetian red, you can use scarlet or any other more normal red. In the next tutorial, we are going through another complete portrait drawing. However, this one is a challenge one because I want you to get your creativity involved and see what colors has been mixed with each other, and the ones that been introduced to you. You create the first layer. So in a while, I'm just gonna skip a part and ask you if you could come up with those layers and send me, and whoever actually does the best creative parts, of course there will be a prize and more free coupons for our next courses. So don't forget to send your challenges and actually say this was done for the challenge of this lesson, and name the lesson please, of course, when you're sending your challenges. Practice. We have drawn the cheek parts with the same red color. Going around the nose, and for the first layer, you're going to create the under layer with our red color. The nostrils, and also around the main outlines of the nose until both corners of the eye. Please follow my hand movement. You do not need to use red here. You can use a more skin tone color that we used for the previous tutorial as well. You have learned facial features separately and together so far, so you can combine all those techniques and color you have learned for this challenge and not exactly using the same colors. However, the way we are placing each part is very important, and that's gonna help you. These are the outlines that I made them to be more distinguished. So start using burnt umber, much darker for the dark areas. So burnt umber is another pencil. You can replace it with your black ones if you don't want to use black. This is burnt ochre. Now we are almost close, near our challenging time. I'm gonna skip through some of the skin tones that I used, and I will wait for your practices to see how actually and which color you have mixed, and please send them to me. Even they can be crazy colors like blue, green, or certain colors that we never use for the skin. It's all comes within like with your creativity. And that's what I want you to do, not to limit yourself with certain colors, to go for it and create more artistic practices. So now it's time to start our challenge. You can see all the pencils that I have been using. So use your imagination and the techniques from this course and draw from it. So far you can see what colors have been used: a dark red, blue, yellow, green, almost a lot of the colors that we have in our color pencil set. I won't have a lot of points to mention here because I want this to be your challenge. So however, I will tell you a few points in order to remind you the main techniques that we have used. We have used a lot of layering, especially the right places like around the cheekbones. Did a few times eyelashes and refresh them, because every time we go on the eyelashes and the upper eyelid and lower, the lines they get disappear, so you have to refresh them. For the lips, you have to make sure the middle line and the other outline around the lips, they are much they have deeper color comparing the middle part, because middle part of the lips, it has lots of highlights. And don't forget to keep the whiteness of the paper for your highlight. On this one, under the eyes, around the mouth, and also on the forehead, the middle part, and in the middle of the nose, the middle part of the nose, you can see we have kept our the whiteness, and we are not gonna touch it that much. So still we're gonna use a lot of different raw umber, different burnt ochre, and also different blue ones that you have. So if you have any normal set, even if it's not polychromos, this is a perfect practice for you. It would really help you to understand um, where you have to put more pressure. For instance, this area that I'm actually working right now, you can see when it comes to a specific curviness and the knots of the hair, you have to add more pressure, more color in order to create that dimension that you need. Every time there is a certain curviness, please add more colors. At the beginning of the roots. So quickly, we are going to use a lot of black colors. Please have a look where we are actually using it, next to the outlines. Again, I'm going to emphasize the only reason we use black because this is not hyper realistic or towards realistic skin tone color. That's why we can use a lot of black, but usually we do not use this amount of black. So now, using lighter color, and we go around. See, these are the areas that you need to add more shading in order to create that curvy results for the hair. Have a look at the hand movement. Here you don't have to use any of these colors. You can use maybe blue or red. It depends on the hair design that you're going with. I'm actually really looking forward to your challenges and see what colors you're going to use. Again, there will be a prize for you at the end, so you will do this and you will get more free coupon for our other courses coming up, which we do have, like pencil, charcoal, other color pencil techniques courses, fine lines, and even Procreate. So you can use your coupon for any of those courses. Again, we're gonna go through our black pencil. After that, we can use a darker blue on black ones. They will really go well together. We keep using same different colors, same areas. The hair drawing is going to take most of our time for this drawing because we don't want to add lots of skin color onto it. For the skin tone, maybe we add from 1 to 4 layer maximum. If we wanted to do it more realistic, we would have spent more time on it. The beauty of the eyes colors are mainly towards the highlight that we didn't touch. So pay attention to those details while practicing this model. Look at the hand direction, the line direction that we are doing. It's very, very important. This area is not flat, it's not normal lines. It should be curvy hatching that we are doing. You have learned all of this at the beginning of this course. Look at the difference between the left side of the hair and the right side. Now we're adding more pressure onto the areas they need to show the curviness. We're going to speed up this part a little since the way that we draw the hair and the curvy lines, they're almost similar. We just have to keep adding layers, but the only difference is that instead of shading, we are adding lines as our shading colors, as our layers. It feels like more towards line drawing and cross hatching, hatching and cross hatching drawing. So a combination of like the face is shading only and the hair is more towards line. It's a perfect practice after you have done a lot of the tutorials of this course. Again, moving our hands a little faster. Just adding, well, every color that we feel like to. Now after this, we're gonna work on the highlight of the hair, which we are gonna do it with our yellow color, very light ones, closer to lemon color. And then after this, we're gonna spend more time going through the facial coloring to add more layers onto it. See, even we added few yellow color, it looks much brighter and more beautiful. Add more black to the eye lines, the both lines from the outlines of the eye, the smaller eyelashes. Continuing with the eyebrows, a little add a few more hair strokes on them and go around the iris outlines. With our green olive, we can add more colors onto the eyes. However, don't forget that we really need to make sure the whiteness of the eyeballs, the whiteness inside the eyes, they don't stay really white, except the highlight. The rest of them needs at least to have a few layers. Blending the black colors with red. You can use any other colors you prefer. Barely adding pressure, but we are still blending the upper eyelid and the lower eyelids and the wrinkles, the line below the eyes with the red that we used. Still have a look. Let's go a little faster for the hair drawing parts. Just make sure the outlines more visible. A bit darker brown. You can use the same yellowish that we have, but it's better to use more orange towards the cheek parts. This is for the highlight. Instead of the white or like cream, we are using more towards orange in order to create the highlights. We have done this in the previous tutorials as well. When we eliminate a part with eraser, we have to go through that part and correct the layers. Just go through the outlines and correct it. You can take your time while going through the correction, so you know where everything is, and then you can add more colors. These parts of these details are quite important for the lips area. Adding more colors to the lips part. It can be scarlet or Venetian red, or more salmon color. Working on the lips a little more. Pay attention that I'm still making sure the highlight, the whiteness of the highlight, some parts of the lips still there. The more we add layers onto the lips, the more beautiful it becomes. You can use the same color around the for the blush of our reference. It's exactly like makeup. When you have a certain color on your face when you're doing makeup, you need to have that color overall. So think of it like if you have seen around you people doing makeup, or you usually do makeup yourself, maybe you can pay more attention this time to see how it's usually been done. Adding a little dark tones to some of the areas and almost in between the teeth. Don't overdo it, otherwise it's gonna look very unnatural. See how slowly we move around? Still adding additional color onto the lips, and make sure which other area we can use cinnamon color. Very important, any color pencil you're using for these ones, please follow my hand movements and how I go through them. The color pencils can change, but where we are actually place the shading, the hatching and colors won't change. So follow this, however, use your creativity and send me what you can. Even though we have used lots of color on the hair, but the amount of color we have used on the face, they are limited, so you can find what colors really suit you, the color pencil suits you, then you use the same. Again, we are using cinnamon for this part. Circular hand movement with minimum hand pressure. Keep using the same pencil around the neck and the chest part. Look at the hand movement and how I move the pencil on the skin area. The blending parts we can go a little faster because you know it has to be circular hand movements. Don't forget that the top part of the iris needs to be darker because of the shadows of the eyelashes. When it comes to details, how sharp our pencil is right now. We are adding the yellow, the lemon color for the highlights. See the brightness actually the yellow will bring to our skin tone. A little using lighter brown. Either you're using umber or sienna or any brown color that you have, make sure you analyze your colors, what you want to use, and then keep applying them. Going around. Bring in more highlights with our eraser. If you do too much, because you haven't actually burnished the area, you can erase your either mistakes or when you change your mind. This is shading before we bring more hair strokes on this part. Look which areas we are actually placing them. Maybe when it comes to your time you want to do it with blue or pink or red. That would be okay as well. Still using very sharp black to make sure the outlines around the portrait actually shows like this. We have added a little more pressure than the previous layer and reduce the pressure when you uh, go a little from the top of the head, you go down, you have to reduce the pressure so your line at the end becomes very thin rather than thick color. The colors really go well together. A dark red, blue, some umber and sienna, and also black in between for the dark highlights. This part are the most important sections right now currently, because if you don't add those shading areas the hair is not gonna look scary. Really happy with the colors so far. It gives a very fresh and new touch to a portrait drawing rather than all the old-fashioned just exactly what you see and what you apply style. using a little darker brown. Here you can even use a Van Dyke if you have one, or any darker brown would do good as well. If you believe some of the areas is too fast for you, just pause the screen, follow, and then go ahead. Circular hand movement. So at the end, it's really good to use a lighter color instead of like white, the ones you usually use for blending and the ones I have mentioned to you before during this course, to use them on the darker layers in order to blend them very well for the last touches. We can even say it's a done deal, but it is okay. We go around and add more details if we need to. I advise you don't do this with such a big eraser. For beginners, or even not beginners, for any level, you need to have a more delicate pencil eraser in order to do this. Mono erasers are really good, so having one, you can use it for a long time, and you can create great highlights with it. Or electric eraser, if you do have that one, it can even be replaced for your pencil eraser, mono erasers. And even for really dark areas, you can create better highlights because obviously it's electric, so it has more power onto it. Look at the highlights. We create a combination of orange and the previous yellow, so they complement each other, same areas. Even though we are doing it a little faster, but it's always been thought before where and what should be placed in each area. I assume you do the same thing. You look at the color, you look at your model, you know what color pencils you want to use throughout a whole tutorial or the lesson that you're watching, even though it's not this. For all of them, I'm mentioning the same thing. With black color, we can add some more obvious hair stroke. Refresh some of the lines. The reason that we are using blue for this area, you can use other colors as well. However, we want the eyes because we use too much black. You need a strong color to balance the eyes with the color skin tone. Again, we are using the lemon color to refresh the highlight feeling of the hair. These are all repetition of the previous layers. You can keep adding and complete the whiteness area, or you can leave it as it is. We are going to leave it as it is because I like to see some of the whiteness of the paper. It gives that freshness onto your portrait. Look at the hand movements from the edge of the curve. You go slightly go towards the top part of the hair curves. So we are almost done with this portrait. Again, I will wait for your challenges. There will be a prize at the end for the students. They try their best and send me their best practices for this one. So in the next tutorial, we are going to learn a complete face drawing and coloring. For now, we are done with this portrait, so I hope you enjoyed it again, and I see you in the next tutorial. So for now, bye bye.